Hey everyone, it's Rick Smith back again. Listen, as my blog is currently under construction, and I just wanted to drop in and see if I could add some more value to your life. So what I'm going to talk about today on this quick little rant is a subject that I know today isn't very commonly focused on, especially in the society we live in. I'm talking, of course, about health and fitness. Now, I want to be clear. When I say we don't focus on it, what I'm referring to, of course, isn't the fact that we focus all the time on how fat we are. Sure, we promote good bodies in advertising, but I can tell you I see a lot more advertisement for McDonald's and Dairy Queen. So, when you think health and fitness, what comes to mind? Abs, a tight ass, power, brute strength. Listen, there's obviously nothing wrong with any of these things. But what I can tell you is that I've literally been exercising rigorously since about the age of 12 when I was playing hockey. Now, arguably, and I'm sure my mom can vouch for this, I was one of the most hyperactive kids the world had ever seen, which I know may come as a bit of shock to you. Now, our reasons for working out vary, but for me more than anything, of course I wanted to impress the girls and look tough, but I also wanted the competitive edge in sports as well. As time went on and puberty hit, and I was about 16 and in boot camp, that's when I really started to see, the veins and my chest pop out. And after a long, let's call it a vacation, a well-deserved vacation, which that's a whole other story. I got back to reality and had my focus on bodybuilding. Working out essentially had my full focus. I started taking all kinds of supplements, spending hundreds of dollars a month. And I started to gain muscle mass at a very rapid rate. Now, if you think about this, I was 16 to 17 years old at the time, and I was in high school. I wasn't playing hockey at the time, so the last thing I wanted to do was any sort of cardiovascular exercise, and I would literally stuff myself with anything in sight. There was a point where my mom, and rightfully so, started to get a little irritated at the fact that entire rotisserie chickens and buckets of potato salad would all of a sudden just disappear. But I loved being the big guy. I loved the identity that I and everyone else had attached to me in that sense. So in spring season, I got into a new sport called rugby, and at that point, I was doing something close to 4 to 5 hours of exercise a day, and taking just about every legal supplement GNC had to offer. I was around about 190 pounds. Of what my dad would refer to as rompin' stompin' tiger meat. But then rugby season ended and so did high school. So the next phase was off from Chicago, Illinois to Monterrey, Mexico at the age of 17. Now I'm not going to go deep into the human needs here, but we all need two human needs called significance and certainty. So my way of attaining these was to be the swole guy. I think that I spent more time literally in the gym than I did in class. When I got to my max weight, I weighed just over 210 pounds, and I was bench pressing over 350 pounds. As you may guess, my diet consisted of unreal amounts of weight-packing food and supplements. So, I'd say between the ages of 18 and 19, my focus was pretty much just on, being a monster and increasing my bench press. This is what I would say this is the first phase of my fitness background. Now, huge muscles and being able to boast about how many iron plates you can throw on the bar, it's a nice thing, but I think there's a point where reality starts to kick in. And for me, that reality was that professional rugby more than likely wasn't in the cards for me. And being that big and bulky was really starting to take a lot of effort and really put a strain on the body. I'd constantly suffer from muscle aches. Probably couldn't run for more than about 30 minutes at a time. So after 19, my focus started to shift more towards a ripped, athletic, muscular body. My goal was to emulate an NFL running back as much as possible. I figured I could still be strong and look intimidating while having good cardiovascular strength. So I went about embarking on this next mission. And I did increase my cardio. However, my diet was still centered on mostly proteins and virtually no carbohydrates or really anything else for that matter. And I also mentioned that there was a particular semester where I partied a bit too hard, and by the end of it, I got pretty lean, which I'm sure some of you have been there, or maybe not. Now, fast forwarding a bit, I spent the next year and a half around 190 pounds of lean muscle. However, I still didn't have the energy and vitality that I wanted. We can refer to this as the second phase of my physical fitness journey. And as I started to embrace the fact that I was going to be entering the business world, I realized the importance of looking good in a suit. So as I entered my 6th semester of school here in Monterey, I still had the strong focus on my physical appearance. I decreased the amount of food I was eating in order to burn fat and followed a workout regimen I invented that was something similar to that of CrossFit, so a lot of high-intensity cycle training. Has about 185 pounds of solid muscle, probably something around 9% body fat. But my diet was still highly acidic, and my hardcore party style may have introduced a few more toxins into my body. Now, when I went back to Chicago for my winter break, my sister and mom were talking about all this cleanse and detoxification, that they had gone through. And my sister had been a vegetarian for a long time, but my mom had also drastically decreased the amount of meat she was eating, and they both eliminated dairy products, switching to things like Greek yogurt and almond milk. Now, curious about this, I began to experiment a bit, by implementing the substitution of these foods into my diet. After break, I got back to Mexico for the semester I'm currently in. I did a cleanse, and I was really impressed, to say the least, in the drastic energy increase I experienced, which you'll get a chance to learn more about. At this point, I'd fully accept the importance of water-rich foods. I increased the amount of cardio I was doing and started implementing activities like Bikram yoga and deep stretching into my regimen. So, at this point, things were on track, and we'll go ahead and refer to this as the third phase of my journey. Now, shifting gears a bit, the real reason I'm here investing this time and energy to share with you, all of this is just to let you know where I am right now. I'll start off saying that I'm around 175 pounds with body fat index is about 7%. I sleep about 4 or 5 hours a night, and if you've ever been around me, I'm sure you can second the fact that I never seem to run out of energy, right? So, literally, I wake up every morning and can't wait to start running the day instead of letting it run me. I do about an hour of weight training, at least 40 minutes of cardio every day. And I also make sure to stretch thoroughly in the morning and also after my workouts. Now, the reason I'm telling you all of this is certainly not to beat on my chest, and the reason I'm able to do all these things is certainly not because I'm superhuman. It's just a simple fact that I know things that you more than likely don't, and I didn't even until recently. And not only do I know these things, but I'm applying them, and that's why I'm seeing the results I am. Now, you may or may not be here. You might be sick of hearing me talk. But the reason I went through all the burden of sharing my background with you, is I want you to know I'm not about the bullshit, and I walk the walk. And as I said before, abs and big chest are a great thing, and trust me when I tell you, I wouldn't be willing to give these things up. But without a doubt, the most important thing, at least to me right now, is energy. That can be used as intensity and passion to kick ass in all areas of my life. For Christ's sake, look around you. The United States is the most obese nation in the world, and Mexico's right behind it. Now, I understand common sense is the least common thing these days, but if we were to rely on our common sense here, let's just think about this. Now, in a perfect world, do you think restaurants such as McDonald's and companies such as Little Debbie Snacks would be in business? I think not. Now, I'm sure you can agree that the vast majority of people, even with their 8 hours of beauty sleep, can barely make it through the day. All right? Now, I have classes in the morning. I can't tell you how many people walk in every day with a coffee glued to their hands if it were a fucking lifeline. It's like, don't pull the plug, do you know how much business is being done every day based on artificial energy? What about Mexico? Again, let's use our common sense here. Monterrey, Mexico is the world's leader in consumption of Coca-Cola. People are drinking that shit at the breakfast table. A plate of enchiladas, all that cream, cheese, tortilla, meat. Now, as I shared these principles with a friend of mine recently, he asked me, well, if all of this is true, well, then why doesn't everyone else do it? And my response was, well, that would be like saying if it were possible to make a lot of money no matter what the circumstances were, well, then why don't most people just go ahead and do it? Well, my response would be they don't read the books, they don't attend the seminars, they don't seek out the mentors, they don't do the work. Recently a specific group of people in a country that was founded on hard work, drive, and determination actually made t-shirts proclaiming that they are part of the 99%. What the fuck? So you don't have to be overly intelligent to understand why 1 in 2 Americans dies of heart disease and why we're plagued with diabetes, obesity, and cancer. So, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and assume, we're on the same level here in the sense that it's pretty evident what the problem is. So, hopefully at this point you're asking yourself, well, what the hell is the solution? Stay tuned. Now, I'll start off by saying that the reason I came to know and trust these principles was, again, through common sense more than anything. Look, here's what you need to know. Sex is the most energy-draining process in your body. What's the second? Digestion. Now, depending on your sex life, digestion may very well be the #1 energy-draining process in your body. Now, oxygen is the source of life. Okay? Without it, you'll die. Water, which is 33% oxygen, is what 98% of our bodies are made out of, and what 70% of the planet is made out of. So, of course, you need a hell of a lot of that too. You can't survive more than 7 days without it. But if you look at the way most people breathe, you quickly notice they barely take in any oxygen, which happens to be free, by the way. And how many people do you know that actually drink the recommended half of their body weight in ounces of water per day? So that'll give you a rough idea as to how most people are treating their bodies, especially in the Western Hemisphere. But let's keep going. Now, most people really have no bleeding clue what's going on in their bodies. Now, I'll give it to you in a nutshell. Your lungs take in oxygen, and that oxygen gets transported into your red blood cells, which circulate throughout your body. Now, these red blood cells have a negative charge. So ideally what you want is for these red blood cells to be plump and away from each other, circulating freely. Now, I can give you the name of the problem in one word. Acid. Now, most of us live an acidic lifestyle without even trying. And something to take into consideration is that our bodies already create a great deal of acid through negative emotions such as stress and anger. And as if that's not enough, most of the foods our culture has taught us to eat are essentially all acidic foods, such as meat and processed sugars. And so what's the problem with acid? Well, remember that while the red blood cells have a negative charge, these acids have a positive charge. So what happens once these additional acids are introduced into the body is that they get stuck to the red blood cells and they start to clump together. So now instead of a smooth flow, what you have is syrup circulating throughout your body. I mean, doesn't it make sense? Don't most people just kind of sludge through life? Now let's keep going. When you work out, especially intensely like myself, what do you feel? That's right, the burn. Now here's the problem. Guess what that is? You guessed it, more acid. So what happens? Well, depending on your body type and genetics, the body creates fat in order to protect your vital organs from all the acid. That's why some people work out like maniacs and still can't manage to lose the weight. And not only that, but while the body's busy doing all this, guess what shuts off as the body has to prioritize? Elimination. So most people are walking around auto-intoxicating themselves. These are just facts. So listen, it's a really deep subject and we can go on and on about it, but because this is the introductory video, as we go along, you'll get a chance to learn more about all the different food groups, the power of an alkaline, which is the opposite of acid diet. You'll get a chance to learn about the psychology of energy and vitality, and how you can create optimum health and fitness to look and feel good all the time. So, and I know we went a little crazy on this video, but this is a subject I'm really passionate about. And before I wrap up, I'll give you 3 quick and easy tips that will hold you over before I reveal the goods in my blog. The first is drinking half your body weight in ounces of water per day. That is pounds for all my Mexican friends. I apologize. I know we have to do everything differently. The second is always taking deep breaths, filling the lungs in from the bottom. As opposed to this, what you want to do is fill the lungs. Since the lungs are little sacs, you want to expand the lungs. So that's how you should be breathing. Third, you want to eat 75% foods that still have their natural waters in them. If you want to be alive, eat live foods. Remember, green is great. I'll end in saying that I don't want to take things away from you, and you don't have to give anything up. All right? Everyone deserves to play, and you all know I love to party. But I do work my ass off to be able to balance it all and still be an ass kicker and name taker in life. So don't worry about me. All right? Work hard, party harder, peace and God bless. I'll see you next time.